You can eliminate social anxiety once and for all with nootropics, if you do your research. And you're willing to experiment until you find the one or two that is right for you. If you feel inadequate, embarrassed, inferior, or humiliated, and it prevents you from going out and meeting new people, or generally messes with your quality of life, nootropics can help. Social anxiety is a type of anxiety and affects at least 13% of the people living in the U.S. While the numbers aren't available, I'm confident that this is a worldwide problem. You are dealing with social anxiety if you do your best to avoid going into any situation where you feel that you'll be negatively judged or evaluated. One of the problems with social anxiety is poor self-esteem, and it feels like it's somehow your fault, that social anxiety is a moral failure, or it could be caused by a crappy childhood. Nothing could be further from the truth. Social anxiety is primarily a chemistry imbalance in your brain. And if this balance of neurotransmitters and their symptoms can be restored, you should be relieved of social anxiety symptoms. Your brain is governed by multiple neurotransmitter systems. The most extensive of these are GABA and glutamate. The other three neurotransmitter systems, serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, have also been studied extensively in both normal states and states of anxiety. And we know that each of these neurotransmitters plays a role in anxiety because there are prescription drug therapies that address each one. But social anxiety is not caused by a deficiency in one neurotransmitter or another. The networks governed by the neurotransmitters are interrelated, have multiple feedback loops, and sport complex receptor structures. You have not been given the full story about what's causing your anxiety. Serotonin plays a fundamental role in regulating your brain states, including anxiety, and modulates dopamine and norepinephrine as well. GABA is your main inhibitory neurotransmitter. It increases in GABA using barbiturates or benzodiazepines can have an anxiolytic effect for some people. Drugs in this class do not directly bind to GABA receptors. Instead, they affect the associated chloride channel. Barbiturates do this by increasing the duration of the channel's open state, while benzodiazepines increase the frequency of opening. The big problem with these types of drugs, however, is tolerance and potentially fatal side effects. And they kill your ability to encode memories. Dopamine's role in normal and anxiety activity in your brain is complex, and dopamine pathways affect social anxiety in several ways. Dopamine signaling helps promote feelings of self-confidence and self-esteem, which helps reduce anxiety. Norepinephrine plays a complex role in anxiety states, and many social anxiety symptoms can be reduced by modulating norepinephrine in your brain. For example, propranolol, which is classed as a beta blocker, is an antagonist of the beta-2 norepinephrine receptor, is used to reduce the rapid heart rate, tremors, and quivering voice that you get when you're about to step in front of an audience on stage. Several natural nootropic alternatives to beta blockers are available. Nootropics like magnesium, L-tryptophan, and St. John's wort are used by many to treat social anxiety. Glutamate is your primary excitatory neurotransmitter. It is involved in every neuronal pathway in your brain and body, including those that affect social anxiety states. Nootropics like cat's claw, many of the racetams, L-theanine, and Nupep all modulate NMDA receptors, and glutamate. Ashwagandha. This adaptogen has been used for millennia to relieve anxiety, fatigue, restore energy, and boost concentration. Clinical studies have shown ashwagandha to repair and even reverse damage caused in the brain that caused by chronic anxiety and stress. Kava is native to the South Pacific, and the islanders use kava for its sedative effects. Kava can help reduce anxiety and improve mood. Unlike benzodiazepines, kava does not impair cognitive function. In fact, studies show that kava may boost cognitive function. Main mushroom boosts brain nerve growth factor, which increases neurogenesis. That means growing new neurons. Lion's mane can help improve focus and attention, boost thinking, repair brain cells, help depression and anxiety, and manage other neurological problems. Now, lithium is an alkaline mineral and one of the trace elements considered essential for both animal and human reproductive health and general health and wellness. Discovered as a chemical element in 1817, lithium's first recorded medical use was in 1871 for the treatment of mania. But the use of lithium for therapeutic use goes back to ancient Greek and Roman times. People enjoyed soaking in alkaline springs to help with physical and mental illness. The name Lithia stems from the water that's rich in lithium. Now, studies from around the world have shown the critical health benefits of lithium. One study using data from 27 Texas counties from 1978 to 1987 found that rates of suicide, homicide, and rape were significantly higher in counties whose drinking water contained no lithium. Another study of lithium levels in tap water in 18 municipalities in Japan showed standard mortality rates lower in places with higher lithium levels. Now, researchers who conducted a meta-analysis of lithium levels in public drinking water suggested increasing lithium levels of drinking water could potentially reduce the risk of suicide and justify administering lithium to tap water. Doctors also prescribe lithium off-label for treating migraines, seizure disorders, and psychosis, usually after other treatments have failed. But as we dig deeper into the most recently published research on lithium, we realize this trace element is essential for optimal health and brain function. The lithium we get from our diet prevents many neurological and psychiatric problems. Microdosing lithium as a nootropic with a supplement like Lithium Orotate can help make up for what we don't normally get from our food and water. Lithium is naturally available from fish, processed meat, milk, dairy products, eggs, and your typical dietary intake of lithium can range anywhere from 2 to 600 micrograms. First, lithium stabilizes mood. Recent research has discovered that lithium's mood stabilization effects may be due to its ability to boost the production of new brain cells, or neurogenesis. Lithium inhibits the enzyme glycogen synthase kinase 3B, or GSK3B, and this inhibition upregulates brain-derived nootropic factor, or BDNF, and insulin-like growth factor, which stimulates neural stem cells to produce new neurons in the hippocampus. When neural stem cells produce new neurons in the hippocampus, mood and memory work the way they're supposed to. But a breakdown in this neurogenesis results in mood disorders like depression. Now, lithium has long been known to control mania and stabilize mood in bipolar patients, but it was not generally thought of as an antidepressant. Now, lithium-induced gene transcription in the hippocampus, amygdala, and hypothalamus, and all of these areas are implicated in depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, autism, and schizophrenia. Second, lithium protects your brain. Your brain cells are at constant danger of damage from exposure to toxins you encounter every day from food, air, and water in your environment, and the excitotoxins produced by ordinary brain cell metabolism. Rhodiola activates AMPA receptors in your brain, which decreases depression and stress-related mood swings, reduces fatigue, stimulates energy and alertness, and it boosts cognition. St. John's wort. This plant has been traditionally used for mood disorders and wound healing. Today it's used mostly as a treatment for anxiety, depression, and stress. St. John's wort works like prescription SSRIs by preventing the reuptake of serotonin in your brain. But please read the precautions on using this nootropic in my extended article on nootropicsexpert.com. Very important for St. John's wort. Vitamin B6 helps your brain make serotonin, norepinephrine, and melatonin. The activated form of vitamin B6, called P5P, is particularly effective in boosting serotonin and GABA in your brain and providing potent anti-anxiety effects. Vitamin B12. Supplementing with vitamin B12 can help lower anxiety and elevate alertness, cognition, energy, vision, elevate mood, and relieve insomnia.
I'm having a bit of a meltdown moment. 4 days after the final session of autism evaluation. So I got the diagnosis of ASD, which is a good thing. So now I have the explanation for all my social struggles through my life. It's a bit late, but better late than never, as the saying goes. But the reason why I'm in a meltdown phase, it's more because of what it triggered. Social anxiety. This always has been an issue. It's some kind of a flashback. All the emotions popping up and memories coming along. But I see it as a process that has to be felt through. Let the tears come. Whatever pain there was experienced, tears need to be cried. I think it is healing. You have those flashbacks only when you are ready to process it. So I think it's good to just let it happen. Let the emotions all come up and observe the pain, be in it, and at some point you can let it go. I just remembered how I used to be so very keen on getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sundays as a teenager, only so I could be by myself with the horse I was looking after at the time, and we would go into the forest and nobody would be around that early, and all I would hear were the sounds of nature. Very often I just rode bareback, which was my preferred way of riding my horse. So I was feeling the movements under me way better. I loved that. And it was so calming, it was so meditative and so peaceful. And I really didn't want to meet anybody in the forest, and I also didn't want anybody with me. I didn't want any unnecessary chatter or the pressure to make social interaction and any form of small talk. I just wanted to enjoy nature and the company of my horse, that was all. Well, and I just remembered how I enjoyed that and how much I struggled at the time with my social anxiety. I was very shy back then as a teenager, and it made social interaction so painful and difficult. And I tried to avoid everything. I just wanted to read my books and be by myself or have the company of my horse, and that was it. And it has been very hard to learn how to do social interactions a little bit better. But I always thought something was wrong with me because I was so weird and nobody else seemed to have this struggle. But now I have a diagnosis and finally can say I'm autistic, and I was autistic all along. So that's why I struggle with social interaction. And I still don't feel comfortable with it. But back then, I was actually suicidal because I struggled so much. Had I known that I was autistic, it would have taken away all the pressure I put on myself, or that was put on me by others, by teachers, as well as my parents. The focus was all put on social interaction, how important it was, and I could not deliver. So I felt like a failure. This just came up and I wanted to share it.